Why did I convert to Judaism? It's a question I get asked a lot, and honestly, it often makes me feel pretty flustered because I can't explain it properly in just a few sentences, and the topic is pretty heavy. Plus, the question itself doesn't always feel good. I wonder why the person's asking, why it even matters. And if I'm being honest, it doesn't feel great to be called out as a convert because it implies that I'm a different kind of Jew. But I also know that people are usually coming from a good place, and I actually do want to share my story. So I sat down with 4 other people who also converted to understand how they feel about answering the question, why did you convert to Judaism? Now, there are 2 things you should know about Jewish conversion. First, Judaism doesn't recruit converts. In fact, it actively discourages them. Rabbis will push you away, making sure you're truly committed and doing it for the right reasons. Second, the path to conversion is long and hard. You can't just click your heels 3 times and become Jewish. It involves years of rigorous study, introspection, and dedication before you're finally accepted as a Jew. That means every single person I spoke with didn't just want to be Jewish. They fought for it. They overcame doubts, obstacles, and setbacks to stay on the path of conversion. That process, all told, took me 18 years, though most of it was overcoming my own insecurities and fears. So I grew up Methodist Christian, went to a Korean church back in the States, and even as a little girl, I really liked praying, and I was just really into going to church and spirituality and all that. And as I grew older, I just wanted to make sure that whatever faith that I chose was really my own and something that I believed in and not just something that I grew up with.
Absolutely.
Yeah, speaking to the choir, yeah. And I just slowly started getting into this, discovery phase of looking at different religions. So it's very quickly that I came to Judaism, seeing how immersive, that this was not just a religion, it was an immersive lifestyle. That's when it clicked. I was like, that's what I want. Through years of study and prayer, I embraced a life of Torah and mitzvot, and I never looked back. But enough about me.
I was always looking for things that were bigger than what I saw, and I knew that life had much more to offer than what I was seeing.
This is Timur. He grew up as a Muslim in Jaffa, Israel, with a pretty tragic backstory.
I never knew my father. I was raised by my mother. She wasn't always there. She was very sick growing up, but what led me to Judaism is the fact that I come from such a broken family. I come from a criminal family. Every single one of my uncles spent at least a bunch of years in prison, either for robbing, shooting, killing, running something illegal. So as a kid, I saw many things children should not see. So I was always looking for answers, and I was always trying to do the right thing. If I found the wallet, I would try to figure out where that wallet came from. Whereas with my family, if I were to show them the wallet, they would just take it. They wouldn't even let me return it. I always had this attraction towards Judaism. I loved the religion.
Timur attended classes 6 hours a week for 3 years as part of his conversion.
I converted knowing it makes 0 sense. I converted because, I don't know, it was a magnet. It just pulled me, and I had no real reason to do it. It did not make any sense to me. And all the danger that came with it, that one time I was pelted with stones. I've been stabbed before because of this decision.
Wow.
I've been shot at. I don't know how I'm alive.
With all the danger and difficulty, you might wonder, was it really worth it for Timur?
0 regrets. I think it was the best decision I ever made.
Okay, this is Akiva and Chava. They recently moved to Israel from California, and they were already married when they decided to convert, along with their 6 children.
I was raised in a very, very religious family. And, I went to church multiple times a week, sung in the choir. My dad played bass guitar in church, and my uncle was a pastor, and he also still pastors to this day.
Chava wasn't raised religiously, so when Akiva and Chava got married, she had a lot of questions, and the answers left them both unsatisfied.
I wanted to know so much stuff. Obviously, me not being brought up into that world, I'm like, why do you believe this, and why is this? And
They started exploring other churches, but nothing felt right until they were finally exposed to Orthodox Judaism.
We started looking into Orthodox Judaism, and who are these people? We had no idea. And it opened up a whole world. And then we got curious. We said, I never really seen anybody that looked like us. Never really seen any Jews of color. I didn't know that was a thing. So we typed in like online, we said Black Orthodox Jews. And guess who pops up? Nissim Black.
Nissim Black is an American-Israeli rapper who converted to Judaism. His story inspired Akiva and Chava, and they quickly fell in love with Judaism.
Because there was a structure for how to connect to Hashem. There was a structure, and that's what we were really looking for.
Yeah, that's what was missing in our life.
And long story short, we decided, that this is how we want to live.
So when you went through this whole thing together, which I think is so cool when married couples or families actually go through it, so were you sort of on the same page, like
The whole time.
Immediately.
wow.
I just think that's so cool. Okay, this is Kati.
When you grow up in Germany, you're a bit, you grow up with Christianity, but none of our family members were really Christian, I would say. Maybe sometimes we went to church on Christmas. That's it.
Kati's Jewish journey began when she visited a friend in Israel.
I had no clue about Israel or anything about Judaism or whatsoever I can expect from this place. I just came because a friend of mine was here. And because of this friend, I started to talk to her a lot about the religion, about what this means, what that means, why do you do this, why do you do that? And it gave me, the first time I think it gave me a lot of answers. And then in the year that I was living here, I met my now husband. I think that made it the conclusion of it all. But I had no idea what it actually means to convert. What does it take? So then we started to look into this, and this is where the conversion journey started.
One thing I thought was really powerful was when Kati shared the deep personal struggle of reconciling her German heritage with her newfound Jewish identity, a tension that came into sharp focus when a Holocaust survivor spoke with her conversion class.
It was a very, very hard meeting for me because it was the first time that it put me into a situation where I had to face my obvious history of being a German, being part of it, by blood. It is a trauma of the Jewish people. It is there, and I want to share it from their perspective and not from my German perspective. But I am German. I cannot deny it. Where do I belong in this, and how can I see it, and how can I talk to someone that survived what my ancestors did to them? That was very hard.
The five of us come from different backgrounds with different stories, but there's a lot we have in common through our shared experience as converts. And I realized during our conversation that there are a lot of important things about converts that people really need to know. Here's the big one. Don't ask someone if they're a convert. Once someone converts, under Jewish law, they're considered fully Jewish in every way, indistinguishable from someone born Jewish. So if you ask someone if they're a convert, it creates a distinction that could make them feel different. Like a Jew with an asterisk, they're not fully Jewish, but just Jewish. Not only does this go against the Torah's command to treat converts with love and equality, it's also just common sense kindness.
How do you feel when people just blatantly ask, are you a convert?
Uneducated.
Yeah, it obviously, it's a burn.
Yeah, that's a good word.
But
But is it though? Because I always thought of it as, yeah, I'm proud of it. I chose it. I'm not just born into it and I have to stick to it. I chose my path.
100%. 100%. And we feel the same exact way. But I think the perception of someone who converts is this: you're a convert.
Yeah.
It's no, we converted and now we're Jewish. So we're
the whole mindset
we're 100% Jewish, just like you.
Luckily, Akiva and Chava have actually felt overwhelming acceptance from their community.
Immediately when we got into our community, nobody looked at us as we were a convert. Nobody asked, are you a convert or are you converting? We were welcomed immediately.
It was beautiful to hear how welcoming Chava and Akiva's community were. But unfortunately, it wasn't the only experience they had as converts.
I can always tell when people are assuming that because I'm a person of color that I'm a convert, and that bothers me. And so sometimes I can immediately tell the questions that they start asking. So where are you from?
Yep.
You know, is what's your nationality? You shouldn't have to explain yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like you should. I'm a Jew according to the Torah. Yeah. I'm a Jew.
I had at the grocery store somebody ask me like basically like what is my like lineage like, and I think her heart was in the right place, but she was just like where do you come from, like where's this, and it's like
I know what you're hinting.
Yeah. It's like, and she just like kept digging deeper, and you could tell my daughter kind of got like a little uncomfortable with it. And
I think it doesn't bother me when people ask me if I'm a convert or think that I'm a convert. That doesn't bother me. It bothers me when they suspect I'm an Arab Muslim. I feel accepted, I think that I'm not. Does that make sense? Like when I go places, I feel like people try hard for me. Like they do everything they can to make me feel welcome. But there's this thing inside of me where I'm like, man, do they really trust me? Do they really, like, I come from a place that butchered their people, like, and I joined them. So this is something that I struggle with on a daily basis, almost all the time, because it has this stain, a stain that I can't wash, deep down every day. I'm like, do you really think I'm one of you, or do you think I'm one of them?
Basically, it's just a good idea not to assume someone's a convert based on how they look. I've also been on the receiving end, and it was pretty awful. Very early in my exploration of Judaism, I was in shul on Yom Kippur.
And suddenly, there's a blackout. And they're just like kind of panic, and everyone's kind of confused, and like, what do we do? The rabbi just stares at me, walks right up to me, and has me walk around the whole shul, turning on all the, like re-flicking on the lights. And I was so humiliated.
The entire congregation just stared. Now, technically, I wasn't Jewish, but he had no way of knowing that and just assumed it based on my appearance.
I was just so humiliated. And for 2 years, I didn't go back to shul from that because I was just like so scarred.
Maybe the biggest lesson from all this is that Jews come in all shapes and sizes.
What does it look like to be a Jew? It's not one thing, right? To look like a Jew it's a rainbow.
Another common theme that came out from our conversation was about introducing our families to our new Jewish lives and how that can be one of the most challenging parts of conversion.
I knew that it was going to be a shock to my entire family. I have a gigantic family. They were just like, okay, well, what are you doing? Why? This isn't how I raised you, kind of thing. I think that was probably one of the hardest things.
it's funny because he comes from a huge family and I'm opposite. I come from such a small family. So it was like, I still got the same, I think, reaction as well, but it was more intensified. The challenge is when you're trying to explain something to a family member when they don't want to learn or want to understand why you're making the decision that you're making.
Especially your mom, no?
There's another family-related challenge that converts face. Judaism is famously family-oriented, with countless holidays that revolve around big gatherings. So what's it like to be a Jew when you don't have any Jewish family?
Yeah, I would actually say that was more of a challenge, not personally for us, but for our kids, not for themselves, but to see that they don't have like cousins that can relate to who they are and growing up and understanding why they do certain things.
During the holidays, it was always very, very difficult for me because I felt like I had to put on a smile when I did not necessarily have a smile. Because I could understand why they're happy and why they're celebrating. They have their family, they have their kids and their nephews and their cousins and their uncles and their aunts, and it's like a family reunion and it's a holiday spirit, and there's all these things, and I'm sitting there, I was like I get it that they're nice and they invited me and I'm here, but at the same time, like, I don't feel the spirit because I don't have what they have, which is this whole box. And so that was very, very difficult for me, one of the biggest difficulties.
As we talked, I finally started to realize why I struggled with that original question. Why did I convert to Judaism? It's because it frames conversion as a choice, which, to be fair, is how most people think about conversion. Jewish converts are often referred to as Jews by choice. For some, it's an empowering way to look at it. Converts can be proud of the fact that their Judaism was a decision. As Louis Brandeis said, "I'm sorry I was born a Jew, but only because I wish I had the privilege of choosing Judaism on my own." But to me, calling it a choice never felt right because it didn't feel like a decision. It was more like an identity that was always there just waiting for me to become. And while we call this process converting, for me at least, it feels more appropriate to call it a return to myself and my soul, which was destined for me. And I learned I'm not the only one who feels like my Jewish identity was a matter of destiny.
I always felt this way since I was a kid. As a child, I really could feel this connection. I felt like these people were my people, but I have to be shy about it because it's embarrassing, because that's how they made me feel.
And that's the beauty of Jewish conversion. It's not about becoming something new. It's about revealing who you were always destined to be. It's not about saving your soul. It's about elevating yourself to a meaningful life of divine service. Every story is unique. Every journey is personal. But what unites us is a shared commitment to this incredible path and the lengths we'll go to live our truth. Thank you for listening to our stories. And remember, being Jewish isn't just about where you come from. It's about where you're going.